at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua's one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch night guy.
Yeah.
Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. And again,
I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And will I watch it? No. And do I value it? No.
Joe Rogan warns that Jake Paul is entering very dangerous territory by even thinking about fighting Anthony Joshua. Rogan explains that Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist and one of the strongest heavyweights of this generation. He says Joshua would try to make an example out of Jake to stop him from calling out elite champions for quick money. Rogan believes the skill gap is so wide that the fight could end badly for Jake.
God, if he beat Anthony Joshua, good Lord. I mean, that's a big if, right?
I mean,
Anthony Joshua,
I do not
Olympic gold medalist, former heavyweight champion of the world. What he did to Francis Ngannou, good Lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yeah, I just think it's all about the promotion or whatever. I have no idea what the actual motivation is for that fight's not competitive at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua's one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch.
Yeah. Wade Plemons, host of the Wade Concept podcast, strongly warns Jake Paul that facing Anthony Joshua could bring real physical danger. Plemons notes that Jake weighs around 90 kilograms while Joshua competes near 111 kilograms, creating a huge difference in size and strength. He stresses that choosing opponents for entertainment is one thing, but stepping in with a trained heavyweight with Olympic background is something else. Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist after all. Plemons says that if Jake gets knocked out by Joshua, he may never fully bounce back, calling this not just a mismatch but a risk that could change his life. He believes Jake's focus on big paydays is stopping him from seeing the danger he is stepping into.
in making this fight, one, yes, that's the former heavyweight champ. Why is he fighting Jake Paul? And two, why is Jake Paul putting his health and well-being on the line? Because someone asked me on Twitter, Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. Again, it's boxing, not MMA. Jake has a little more experience, but we're talking about a massive size difference. AJ's still relatively young and still relatively got something left in the tank, and he's only fought the world-class guys for the last 10 years. This would be Jake's not only hardest fight, most dangerous fight of his career. If Jake is doing this, it could signal the last one. I'm not even joking. This could signal Jake being like, I'm having one more of these and I'm out. Because where do you go from Anthony Joshua? We'll get into that part in a second, but the Netflix thing. We know that Anthony Joshua is an exclusive fighter to DAZN. Eddie Hearn has stated that multiple times. AJ, I'm pretty sure, even has a piece of DAZN. I could be wrong about that, but he signed a mega deal years ago with them. So for this fight to take place on Netflix would mean DAZN would say, you can have one of our biggest cash draws, and I may be in a revenue share thing, or maybe Netflix pays them some money, but you can have our biggest cash draw and we don't have an affiliation with it. That seems a bit unrealistic. But having said that, this isn't a report from anybody in the camp. This is not MVP saying it. This is not Eddie Hearn saying it. This is Mike Coppinger, who I guess has talked to people in the camp. But an independent source saying that they are finalizing a deal. Not that they're in talks. They are finalizing a deal. So this is, again, we're talking 1 yard line, first and goal.
Boxing Kingdom reported on X that Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is being discussed as a real professional boxing match. It will not be an exhibition and will follow full Queensberry rules. This shows that talks are happening under official regulations, not as a light event. If confirmed, the fight would use standard pro rules, licensed officials, and scoring, making the danger real for both fighters. Rumors that the fight is planned for December are spreading fast. But Eddie Hearn, Joshua's longtime promoter, says the updates are early information. Hearn says no contracts are signed and much of the talk is still guesswork. Ariel Helwani, a respected MMA and boxing reporter, says the amount of discussion suggests something real is happening in the background. Helwani believes that when rumors grow this big, they often signal a real event, maybe late this year or early next year. So even with Hearn's warning, Helwani believes the fight could still happen sooner than expected.
Joshua and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell Ring Magazine Paul steps up massively to fight the former heavyweight champion after his exhibition with Gervonta Davis was canceled. Major props to Paul. So there you have it. In the midst of all this, I did reach out to Eddie Hearn, as did Gareth, and he said, "We have spoken, but nothing close, and I doubt he would be so crazy." He being Jake. I then asked him, "Would you say this report is premature?" He said, "Absolutely." And then I said, "Can I attribute this to you?" And he said, "Yes." And so, what do we make of this, guys? Do we think there's smoke to this fire? PT, what do you think? Do you think this is something that could actually happen? This would be within the next month, right? This would be sometime between now and probably December 19th or so, in that time frame. What do you think?
I think it's a huge fight. You know, I didn't expect this at all. Usually when Jake is in a fight, the odds feel like they're stacked very much in his favor. This is the complete opposite of that. I'd very much agree with Gareth A. Davies' take, which was I'd expect Joshua to obliterate him in a boxing match. I mean, look what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou before that Dubois fight. Like, I mean, it was a completely different affair than the Tyson Fury fight. I think, having heard Eddie Hearn's update and having looked at that tweet again, it feels like boxing's equivalent to the old in the works reporting that we used to see in MMA an awful lot, right? Like when we weren't quite sure, maybe one side had verified that this fight is happening, but you can't get the other side to commit, and it's in the works. It's a huge fight. The one thing I will say is, why would you want that out there? Why would the Ring report this? Why would someone give them that information if it wasn't going to happen? Now, because everything else pales in comparison to this, as far as I'm concerned. Every other fight that they had perspective or potential, I don't think it's as big as Anthony Joshua. So I don't know.
This isn't a ring fight, right? This isn't a ring fight. Anthony Joshua is tied to DAZN. Anthony Joshua has a relationship with Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh Season. The Ring is owned.
MMA Fighting posted on X sharing Leon Edwards' response to the ongoing talk about a possible Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Edwards said if AJ doesn't stop him in 1 or 2 rounds, the fight must be fixed or something. His comment shows the huge difference in power, skill, and experience between the two. Edwards suggests that Joshua should dominate and any longer fight would be surprising. The reaction from a top UFC champion shows how tough and dangerous the matchup would be and how much people doubt Jake Paul's ability to take Joshua's punches.
If you've seen this fight's in the works, Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, as a Brit, how do you evaluate?
I've just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if AJ doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to Anthony Joshua, obviously, for the KO. So yeah, when is it, you know?
It's going to be next month they're working towards.
Oh yeah, sick. Yeah, I'm going AJ for the win.
Cheers.
Francis Ngannou, the former MMA heavyweight champion turned boxer, once faced Anthony Joshua and suffered a hard knockout. This proved Joshua's power is real and his heavyweight skill is no joke. Jake Paul had talked about fighting Ngannou, which was already a bold move because of Francis's strength. But now the focus has moved to Joshua, who may be an even bigger threat. Jake is looking at a fighter who not only beat Ngannou, but has shown again and again that his size, speed, and ability at heavyweight make him a serious danger. In simple terms, Jake is chasing a man who defeated someone as dangerous as Ngannou, a risk with huge rewards but massive danger. Earlier, the idea discussed was Jake Paul versus Francis Ngannou. Francis later refused, calling the idea disrespectful and saying he would not waste time facing an influencer boxer.
With Jake and everything's wrong with Francis. He can go with Francis. So now all of a sudden you start satisfying both ends of this. Okay. So when that falls through, the rumor is that Francis and Jake are still in talks. Even though Francis did not come through on the event he was offered and the date he was offered, MVP and Netflix may be willing to reschedule everything and still make him part of it. And Francis' big statement was just, hey, this doesn't make sense. It's not what I'm looking for. Doesn't make sense. Okay. That's not my business. I can't be mad at Francis for that. That just cost Francis a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That just cost Francis life-changing money. I can't be if I'm mad at Francis, then I got my way. He cut off his nose to spite his face. I can't be mad at him. He's already been punished. What good does it do me to be mad at him? All right. Well, then you bring in Joshua, and Joshua shows you how it's done. Right? Joshua and Francis are not remarkably comparable. I mean, not only did they box, they're not remarkably comparable, but in the world of boxing and just the accomplishments. I mean, you take Joshua Benson, Olympic finalist, for goodness sakes, right? Just like lifelong, very well known. Multiple generations of boxing ties. Go all the way back to Klitschko. Go all the way back. You couldn't go before Klitschko was there first, but you go all the way back to Klitschko. Anything that has ever happened in the sport of boxing says you can tie Joshua to. And he's a professional, and above everything else, he's a real boxer. So if he is to say something makes sense, then it makes sense. Right? If you have Joshua's opinion of does this make sense to... Now, none of us know what sense means. We don't even know if he's spelling it with an S or a C. None of us can define or tell you what this means. It makes such little sense that Francis can't even tell you why it doesn't make sense. But again, I can't be mad at Francis. He already pissed down his own leg. But if you could have Francis's opinion of what in the world of boxing or combat or money or business or sport makes sense, like Francis's level of success is not remarkably...
Simon Jordan, the UK boxing commentator and former club owner, gave a harsh opinion. He said the idea of Anthony Joshua fighting Jake Paul is stupid and ridiculous. Jordan admits the money would be big, but says this is not about competition, it is about entertainment. Jordan points out that Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion, has faced top competitors, and built his reputation. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is far from that level. Jordan says the fight would not help Joshua's legacy and would only put Jake in danger while hurting the image of heavyweight boxing.
Between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in December. What does it tell us, Simon? Does it tell us more, as I said in the introduction, about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul?
It tells you that there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity. You've got a very talented YouTuber that's built himself into a massive influence with huge following, and you've got a former two-time champion of the world that operates at a very high level of engagement. Whether he's a high level of performer anymore is a different discussion. So it becomes about how much can this fight generate, how many eyes on the prize. I mean, I spoke to his very close friend Michael Jarman about this very fight about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "What difference does it make? Oh, it would potentially jeopardize his legacy. His legacy's sealed. You cannot undo the fact. Whatever you think of Anthony Joshua,
It might damage it.
I don't think so. What it will do is increase his bank balance. But I don't think. I think it didn't damage Muhammad Ali's reputation to go in with a sumo wrestler, did it?
No, but after, when Joshua was at his peak, Simon, if I had said to you there and then, do you know what? Maybe in December 2025, Anthony Joshua will fight a YouTuber.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the World Heavyweight Championship twice. And he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people...
Tony Bellew, former WBC cruiserweight champion and now boxing analyst, strongly spoke against the fight. Bellew said he will not believe it until they are both in the ring. He says boxing is a respected sport with safety rules, not a place where mismatches are arranged for views and money. Bellew says size matters, experience matters, heavyweight power matters, and Jake Paul has not earned the right to face Anthony Joshua. He says before any deal is made, Promoters and officials should set terms that protect the less experienced fighter, in this case Jake, rather than put him at risk. Many boxing analysts across podcasts, shows, and media call the proposed Joshua versus Jake Paul fight extremely dangerous. They point to the big gap in experience, power, timing, and physical ability. They say Jake may think he can win, but does not understand that Joshua has knockout power, controls space, controls the pace, and has lived in heavyweight boxing for years. The general view is that Jake is unrealistic if he believes he can survive Joshua's shots.
Unless somebody wants to kill Jake, does someone want to kill Jake Paul?
The move is bizarre, and I can't help but feel like this calculated gamble is going to go horrendously wrong.
Whoa.
I think there's something there about maybe the way Americans say Anthony Joshua. I've seen it because he's not the only American. Like, there's retired boxers been calling AJ out from over there. Like, I don't think that they realize, because of what AJ was like when he performed in America against Andy Ruiz, and just generally since then, you know, he's lost a couple. I think they massively underestimate him, and I also think part of it is just Jake Paul thinking, what's the biggest fucking name I can do? What's the biggest event? What's one that I actually, delusionally in my opinion, think that he's got a chance of just landing a big shot on him, and he just doesn't rate AJ's chin. And it's like, yeah, but like Daniel Dubois, it's not the same, is it? What does this do to Anthony Joshua's legacy just by even taking this fight? Lawrence, you've known him for a lot of years.
To be honest, that's who I'm focused on. I don't really care about Jake Paul. I'm just thinking, you know, AJ needs to get himself back on track after that devastating defeat to Daniel Dubois. Why is he concentrating on Jake Paul? Like, he doesn't need him on his radar. He needs to be focusing on real fighters. And in terms of legacy, I mean, yeah, he's an active fighter. When your career's done, finished, have those type of fun fights. But right now, it makes zero sense to me. So it's just frustrating for me, to be totally honest.
That's the mistake that you're making, though, Loza, because you think he's still he's semi-retired. This is the movement of someone that is on his way out of the game, and you can't turn down that type of money, especially on the night's work that it's going to be. This is like he's already got generational wealth, but you can imagine how big this is going to be. And it's
Netflix, guys. Netflix.
It's massive. Like, so that even I remember Eddie Hearn talking about it.
If, against the advice of many, the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul does happen, there must be protective conditions. Analysts suggest bigger gloves, fewer rounds, special weight rules, maybe even headgear or some restriction for Joshua. Joshua is nearly 20 kilograms heavier and much stronger. Basic matchmaking logic shows this is a mismatch without changes. Rules must be adjusted to lower the danger for Jake. But even then, the risk stays high. No fight is completely safe, but in this case, the danger level is unusually high. Many experts think the best option is to delay the fight until Jake gains more experience and Joshua has a clear reason to take it beyond entertainment.
An exhibition with Tank to actually fighting Anthony Joshua, you know, depending on the terms, because here's the thing, Jake Paul started boxing late, so Joshua, to me, this would be a very dangerous fight. So I do got to look at the terms, meaning, are they going 3-minute rounds? Is it a 6-rounder? Is it a 10-rounder? Is it a 12 championship round they're going to make up a belt? Like, what are the terms for this fight? Because Joshua is 6'6", brolic, an Olympic gold medalist. So that's biting off a lot. So for me, I gotta first see the fight actually come into fruition, not just like, reports. Because Ring has previously reported Virgil Ortiz and Jerron Boots Ennis verbally agreed and the deal is expected to be signed. And it gets clicks and people get hyped up, people get excited.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.